Welcome to part one of our five-part explainer series on the strategic visions framework. Look, over the next 5 parts, we're going to unpack a system that's been refined over 2 decades by experts like Yaminadun Ahmed, which has helped countless professionals find absolute clarity. But today we're zeroing in entirely on laying a rock-solid foundation of core definitions. We're not talking about how to execute your plans, and we are not diving into discovering your ultimate purpose just yet. Today is literally all about getting the exact vocabulary of your future dialed in. Because let's be real, you simply cannot build a skyscraper on a flawed foundation. So here is our roadmap for today. 1. The cost of drifting. 2. Defining a true vision. 3. Vision versus prediction. And 4. Ultimate versus intermediate visions. Let's get right into it. Section 1, the cost of drifting. We've got to start with the very real, very relatable pain of feeling lost. Because attempting to navigate life without a clear destination is incredibly dangerous. A lot of people might look at their lives and think, well, things are fine, I've got a job, life is just moving along. But just because you're moving doesn't mean you're actually heading anywhere. The source material is super clear that living without a vision causes some severe underlying issues. First, you get this crippling lack of clarity. You're constantly struggling to figure out the actual why behind what you're doing every day. And that lack of direction, it leads straight to a massive imbalance in your life roles. Success in your career often comes at the painful cost of neglecting your personal growth or family time simply because you don't have a structured approach. You're dealing with uncertain priorities. You feel totally overwhelmed. And ultimately, you find yourself completely unprepared for the future. You're just kind of going through the motions with a total absence of any real sustaining motivation. And that brings us to this absolutely crucial, terrifying point from the framework. Without a correct and clear vision, we are at a severe risk. Now, what is that risk exactly? Well, if you don't have your own vision, you don't just stay in a neutral zone. Actually, scratch that. It's worse. You literally become a tool for the visions of others. You inevitably spend your precious time and energy building someone else's dream, all because you didn't take a minute to define your own. Section 2. Defining a true vision. To fix this drift, we need absolute clarity, which brings us to the most important foundation of this entire framework. Everyone throws this word around, right? In corporate meetings, on social media, in self-help books. But what does it actually mean in a highly strategic context? When we say you need a vision, what tangible thing are we actually asking you to create? Think of life like a massive, challenging journey up a mountain range. You are the climber, standing at the base, looking up. Now, you absolutely cannot plan your route, pack the right gear, or manage your energy if you don't first know exactly which peak you're trying to reach. If you just start walking, you might climb a random hill, exhaust all your supplies, only to realize, whoops, wrong mountain entirely. You have to know your exact destination before you take that very first step. Because of that, the framework strictly defines a vision as the picture of the future that you want to see. I really want you to focus heavily on those last words, that you want to see. It's giving you that clear mountain peak to aim toward. It's a proactive, intentional picture. It is not some fuzzy idea. It's a highly lucid, concrete snapshot of the reality you actually intend to build. Section 3. Vision versus prediction. Now, here is a massive trap people fall into, and the framework emphasizes this heavily. People constantly confuse a vision with just a mere guess about tomorrow. When we look at the standard Cambridge Dictionary definition of a prediction, it reads, a statement about what you think will happen in the future. That is entirely passive. It's like watching the weather forecast and packing an umbrella. But in contrast, the framework's definition of a vision is the picture of the future that you want to see. That is active. This is you deciding you're going to build a house that withstands the rain regardless of what the forecast says. A prediction happens to you, a vision is created by you. Section 4. Ultimate versus intermediate visions. Once we understand that a vision is an active, intentional picture of the future, we have to divide it into 2 distinct structural categories based on time. You can't just have one giant vision. It's way too overwhelming. You need structure. The first category is the ultimate vision, or UV. The source framework defines this as a highly lucid picture of the future that is completely independent of time constraints. It isn't tied to a specific date on the calendar. Going back to our mountain analogy, the ultimate vision is the absolute highest peak way off in the distance. It's your permanent North Star. It doesn't change whether you are 25 years old or 65 years old. Conversely, we have the intermediate vision, or IV. This one is directly derived from that ultimate vision, but it is strictly bound to a specific point in time. If the ultimate vision is the distant mountain peak, the intermediate visions are your base camps along the way. They're highly lucid, but their concreteness actually increases as the time frame gets shorter. They help you track your journey and guarantee you're actually making progress. Think about your milestones as a series of checkpoints. You might start with a 20-year intermediate vision, then break that down into a 15-year, a 10-year, and finally a highly concrete 5-year vision. So the absolute crucial point here is that every single one of these time-bound milestones has to perfectly align with and pull you toward that timeless ultimate vision. If your 5-year vision is pulling you horizontally across a mountain range instead of straight up toward the peak, you're off track. So the fundamental logic we are establishing today is a strict 2-step process. Step 1, you must first establish the timeless destination, the ultimate vision. Only then, in step 2, can you derive the time-bound intermediate visions along the way. You literally cannot plan your 5-year goals effectively if you don't know what ultimate vision those 5 years are supposed to be serving. Doing it out of order is exactly how people end up successful on paper, but completely unfulfilled in reality. I know nailing these dictionary-style definitions might feel a bit academic at first glance, but it is the critical foundation of your entire journey. By clearly defining what a vision is, separating it from passive prediction, and structuring it into ultimate and intermediate steps, you make sure you aren't just drifting aimlessly. You are actively preparing your ascent with clear direction, deep motivation, and an unbreakable focus. Before we wrap up this foundational explainer and look forward to the next parts of this series, I want to leave you with this deeply provocative question. Look at your life right now. Is your current daily routine actively leading toward a clearly defined ultimate vision? Or are you just predicting your future by default, letting the currents of life carry you wherever they please? Let that provocative question sink in. Take some time to reflect on whether you are predicting or visioning. Thank you so much for joining me for this critical first step. We'll see you in part 2, where we're going to build right on top of this vital foundation and continue our journey up the mountain. Stay focused and see you next time.